So I'm here with Jeff Fromm.
Hello.
Welcome, Jeff. And so my first question for Jeff is, given that this is maybe a harder economic time, for whom would you advise, or who would you advise to actually go look for money right now?
Well, so I think right now it's a very difficult market environment, obviously, for raising capital. And that's true for a number of reasons. In fact, venture capital funds have a lot of capital at their disposal to put to work, but they're being much more cautious in where they're putting it because they're having trouble finding investment opportunities that are likely to be successful and grow in the right time frame, and more importantly, they're having trouble in their portfolio companies that they need to spend their time plugging the dikes instead of making new investments. So the kinds of companies that traditionally can raise venture capital, which often include earlier stage companies, in this market environment, I think it's much harder. So I would advise companies to look for capital after they have revenue and have demonstrated that a sales model has shown that it works and can generate scalable growth, and then the capital will be available to fund that growth. But right now, the outlook for raising capital for pre-revenue companies, I would say, is pretty dim.
Even from, say, angel investors?
Well, angel investors also, and we have to look at what's been going on in the stock market in the last several months. Angel investors, I think, also are much more nervous at this time. In fact, their own cash resources probably are fairly materially depleted versus where it was a year ago. And not only that, but their sense of optimism and confidence in the market is depleted. And investments in early stage companies are fundamentally about confidence and optimism.
And let's say you were a manager or an individual that has realized that the education market is counter-cyclical. And so you're thinking about education as a good place to get into. In the past, you might have looked to start your own company. Would this be a good time to be looking for companies that might be having trouble and look at taking over those companies? And if it is, how would you go about finding those companies?
I think this time is particularly difficult for entrepreneurs to start a new company from scratch. And more than ever, I would advise someone who is considering quitting a job to start a company to wait to do that. And really, people who start companies now should be only people who have no choice. They feel that they have to. It's burning desire. It's an absolute mission. They have no choice. And then they have to be able to, or willing to face the difficult road that's going to be ahead. Companies now need to be self-funded. If you have a friends and family network, you can perhaps attract a relatively modest amount of capital from them. But going to third-party angels, I think, is not going to be available in any large measure for a period of time, and therefore I think it's going to be a hard road also for the entrepreneurs starting new companies. In terms of finding another company that's already established, absolutely, there have been many companies out there that have developed very good products, and they themselves are cash constrained. And if you do want to start something, I do recommend partnering and finding companies that are doing something along the lines that you'd like to start, and partner with them, benefit from their resources, from their development that they've already put into the products, and then add your particular value to it in terms of the vision and the mission. So,
and in education, how would you find those companies?
I think there's no substitute for networking and for the various conferences that most of the early stage companies, I think, find their way to. SIIA, where we are right now at the EdTech Business Forum, is a good place to find what emerging technology companies are doing in the market. The EdNet event annually is another good location, and of course the FETC and NECC events are good ways to find the vendors of all sizes pretty quickly. So I think the networking is the way to go, and you have to not be bound by a narrow geographic region when you look as well, because the number of companies in the entire industry is relatively small, and if you limit yourself to a particular geography like the New York metropolitan area, there are likely to be few, if any, that are doing exactly what you want to do. So you have to be able to look expansively across the U.S. And in fact, even globally, there are many interesting things happening globally where perhaps you could be the person who helps bring it to the U.S. or expand it in the U.S.
Well, thanks, Jeff.
Thank you.